Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel Code with Drew. So today we'll be having an introduction to inheritance in object-oriented programming. So I'm just going to be explaining what inheritance is and different forms or types of inheritance that we can have in object-oriented programming. So starting with what inheritance is, we can just say that inheritance now, okay, inheritance is the situation whereby it's a scenario whereby a class is deriving some attributes from a parent class. So to explain this further now, okay, inheritance allow new class, which we usually call the derived class, or you can call it the subclass, to build from an existing class itself. That's an existing class or a general class that is called the base class. So instead of building from scratch, new classes can be built from an existing class. That's like taken from the attributes of a parent class. So instead of just like having a class from scratch, let's say you can have a class called animal now, and this you can have a class called dog. So dog can work and animal can work. So instead of just like having a separate attribute for dog itself entirely, you can pick up from where animal stop. Why? By inheriting some attributes from the class animal, the parent class animal, like dog. So that is exactly what inheritance is. And inheritance is best for having like reusability and extensibility of our code. And this, the advantages of having inheritance in time of reusability is like it saves time and effort, and it reduces the cost of development when we are building software products. So we are able to like inherit from other attributes. You don't have to rewrite all the functions or the attributes and codes every time. And it increases readability because classes is already being tested, can be used many times. This means that classes that you've tested and they work quite alright, you can reuse them again and again. Alright, so now let's talk about forms of inheritance. And what do you mean by forms of inheritance? There are different ways whereby inheritance can occur. And we have single inheritance, we have multi-level inheritance, we have multiple inheritance, we have hierarchical inheritance, and we have hybrid and multi-part inheritance. And what do I mean by all this? So let's take a look at each and every one of them, one after the other. So we have a single inheritance right here, where we have class B inheriting from class A. So now you can see that the derivation of a single class from only one base class itself. So class B is only having one base class, which is class A itself, and it's taking an attribute from class A. So you can just see this class A as a class animal and this class B as a class dog itself. So this is what we call single inheritance. And you can see from this class B, there is no other derivation from class B itself, just these two. That's the relationship they both have. So, okay, let's move to multi-level inheritance. So when we come to multi-level inheritance now, we can see we have a derived class from another one, which is class B is being derived from another class, and the top base class right here is A itself. A is the top base class right here, and we can now see class C being also derived from class B itself. This is a multi-level inheritance. You can see single inheritance is stopped at class B, but right here class C is also deriving as from class B, which means for class B now the base class is class A, and for class C the base class is class B, which means automatically class C have attributes of both class B and class A. So class B is having the attributes and behavior of class A, is driving it from class A, and now it's going to have its own unique attribute too. But class C is having access to all the attributes that these ones are having. Let's just say this is a class animal now, and this is a class dog. We can say class C is like puppy, something like that. Because yes, dog is having the attributes of an animal. Yes, dog can speak, it can walk, it can move. Why? This puppy is having some attributes of a dog. But let's just say maybe the puppy can't move yet, or the puppy can't bark probably yet. But it still has some attributes of this dog itself. So it has an eye and so many other things, and some attributes like that of an animal. Can have its own restriction also. Okay, no, that's not the best example for this, but yeah, I think that should be quite alright. So we have multiple inheritance. And what do you mean by multiple inheritance right here? Derivation of, you can see now we have a single class. Let's say this is a class animal right here. This is a class animal, and this class animal right here, we're having class B, class C, and class D. So this can be class of a dog, class of a cat. Okay, let's say D for dog, C for cat, and B for what? Bats. So these are all animals, but they are having their own unique attributes, but they are inheriting some feature that are specifically given by all the animals, available to all the animal itself. This is an hierarchical inheritance because you can have like in a way whereby two or more classes can take from a single class itself. So we have three classes taken from a single class A right there. So let's talk about multiple inheritance. Multiple inheritance is a class from two or more base class. Here now, class A and B are the base class. So class C is taken from both class A and class B. That's what we have as a multiple inheritance right there. Okay, alright, so we have hybrid inheritance. And what do you mean by hybrid inheritance? Hybrid inheritance is a derivation of a class involving two or more forms of inheritance. So in this case, we have multi-level or multi-inheritance, two or more forms of inheritance. So here now we can see that this is a multi-level inheritance. We can see that multi-level inheritance right here happening between as class C and class B as the base class, and class D inheriting from both class B and class C. And we can see hierarchical inheritance between class A, class B, and C, coming from the point whereby class A is the base class and class B and class C are both inheriting from this class itself. So if you look at these single inheritance again, an example we can use right here is class A being a vehicle and car inheriting from this vehicle. So a car can move, a car can horn. So these are attributes that are specific to vehicles. They can accelerate, they can decelerate. So a car can be able to inherit some attributes from this parent class A. Like child class car can inherit some attribute from the parent class vehicle. Okay, for multi-level inheritance now, let's just say you see how this vehicle right here. This vehicle can move. Then we have a car that have some similar attributes on this vehicle, such as moving. And now we can say this vehicle can horn, beep, beep. Then we can also have another subclass that is going to inherit from this class of car itself. And which attribute can we call that? So we can call this class now a sports car, which is having an attribute such as a sports car, but it's not having its own definite function, its own attribute, its own unique attribute such like turbo. A sports class can like have the attribute of turbo, just like turbo mode activated for sports cars. But the class car itself does not have these attributes, but it has the attribute of a vehicle moving. So a sports car can move, inheriting it from the class A, that's the vehicle. It can also own inheriting from class B as the car itself. Then it has its own unique attributes also. Then for multiple level inheritance, here we have a camera and here we have a phone. A phone can call, a camera can take picture. Then we have a smartphone inheriting from both camera and both phone, which means a smartphone can call and take picture. That's a multiple inheritance level. Then if we go to hierarchical inheritance, so hierarchical inheritance is just like we have an animal, just as I said earlier, an animal can eat, right? A dog, a bat, and a cat, they can all eat. That's why they are inheriting from this animal, because they all can eat. Then let's talk about hybrid inheritance. So hybrid inheritance is just like when we have a vehicle can move, and we have a car which can inherit from this vehicle itself. We have a car which can inherit from this vehicle itself, and we have an airplane that can fly, right? So let's say, okay, this class is an airplane, class B is a vehicle, right? So this class B, which is a vehicle, which is a car, can inherit from the vehicle the attribute of moving. And now class B can drive on the road because it can move, right? Then class C, which is the airplane, inherits the attribute of moving from class A right there. So the airplane can fly. The only unique attribute of an airplane is flying in the air. So let's now say we have a flying car that has both attributes that can switch between driving on the road and flying in the air. So that is inherited from both class B and class C. So that's an example of all this. So I hope that was all right for you and you get what was that. So let's check out this multi-part inheritance. And this is a very unique one. So we can have derivation from two or more classes that are derived from same base classes. So what we have with multi-class inheritance is just like, at times it is called the diamond problem inheritance, because it occurs when a class derives like from two classes that have same common basis. So we have class Z right here, deriving from both class Y and W. And this class Y and W are having the same base, such as X. Which means, okay, Y derived from Y has the attribute of X, W has the attribute of X. But okay, they now both have their own unique attributes. But now we now have a class Z that want to have the attribute of X and also want to have the attribute of both Y and Z. That is class Z. So a good example for this is we human being. So we can say class Z is a person now, and we can say class Y is a father, then class W is a mother. So the father is having an attribute of a person, moving, walking, eating, talking. Then class W2 is having an attribute of a person, which is the mother. So now we now have a child inheriting attributes from both the father and the mother. And this father and mother still have their own unique attributes, just like some traits that can be there. So now we now have a child that is inheriting from both of them. So a child is inheriting from both of them right there. So we just have that child inheriting from both father and mother. So this is an example of a multi-part inheritance, or we can call it diamond problem. It's like a diamond problem property when it comes to object-oriented programming. So that will be all for today in Introduction to Object-Oriented Programming. So on the next video, I'll be showing you some code on how this works and the difference between the structure of this code. But this has given you an overview on how it works. So don't forget to like and subscribe to this YouTube channel, Code With Drew, for more tips and code like this. See you in the next video. Bye.